This is Maharajas of Skill, a podcast where we go behind the scenes and talk to founders who are demolishing the myths around building and scaling a big business in India. These are the stories that have shattered the assumptions around Indian consumers and are changing the game completely. I am Krishna serial entrepreneur, co-founder of Flit, the fashion locator in town, and startup mentor, bringing you these stories. Hey everyone, this is Krishna from Maharajas of Scale. Today we have a young entrepreneur out of the business state of Gujarat, and he's doing something very interesting for the cricket craze fans of India. His startup is CricHeroes, where he's helping CricHeroes become a platform for people who want to get better at their sport, right? It was no longer about just playing in the gully and then thinking and sitting down with a cup of coffee with your friends and bragging that, you know what, I caught this catch, but the data is going to catch you anyway. So, Abhishek, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you for having me.
So, Abhishek, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what you're doing right now.
All right. So, as you rightly said, I am from the state of Gujarat, Ahmedabad city, to be specific. I'm a computer engineer by trade. I did it from Nirma Institute of Technology, which is again an institute based in Ahmedabad, Gujarat University. And right after graduating from Nirma, along with three of my classmates, I started a company called Digicorp, which became our first venture back in 2004. So we graduated in 2003, and almost after 6 months, we started our first company, Digicorp. And it's a software design and development company where we basically started building software for our clients. And fortunately, soon after starting a company, we got a big break. We got a lead from United States where we had to develop the medical software, which is called electronic medical records or electronic health records for a group of clinics in Arizona. And that's how the journey of Digicorp started. We ourselves were programmers. We hired four more people from our class only. So we hired basically four of our classmates, and we built a team of 8 people. And we started coding, and we started developing the first electronic medical records of our company. And one thing led to another, and another reference gave us business from Middle East. So we started getting projects from Kuwait, and we worked on those projects for a long time. And as and when the word spread, basically all of our business started coming via references. And at one point of time, Digicorp was like a 100-people company, and which is consisting of product managers, developers, designers. And we all obviously shifted our role, came out of the role of a programmer, and started focusing on business development, sales, marketing, and all that business stuff. And during the journey of Digicorp, actually, we always wanted to have our own IP. We always wanted to work on our own ideas, apart from working for clients. And that's when we tried our hands on multiple ideas in 2007, 8, 9, 11, and recently 2016. In most of the previous attempts, we failed because they were always like side projects to us. And we could never focus 100% on them because Digicorp was a business which was generating cash flow. And the other ideas which we were working on, were always losing money, of course, in the initial days. And probably we were not even mature enough at that time to understand how the product business works or how the business at scale will work. And we had to drop those ideas. But when we decided to do it again in 2016, we decided to change one thing, that at least one of us will come out of Digicorp full time and will give his 100% to whatever idea we come across. And that's when we decided that I myself will come out of Digicorp day-to-day operation and will start focusing on working on few ideas. We had 3 ideas at that time. One of the ideas was CricHeroes, and CricHeroes, the idea of CricHeroes clicked, the other 2 did not. And that's when the journey of CricHeroes started. And we are here in 2019 with CricHeroes.
That's fascinating. What were the other 2 ideas?
Sure. So one of the ideas was read board. Again, I love that idea. I really wish somebody else can take it forward. So basically, this is for the people who read a lot on web, right? You read articles, you read probably books, like mainly browser-based reading. And a lot of people comment on those articles, these books, etc., etc. They make notes, they make highlights. Now there is no single tool or platform where like these communications or these chats are stored at one place, right? For example, let's say last week I commented on 10 different articles. Now if I want to see what happened to those communication, it becomes very, very difficult for me to manage. So Readboard was the idea where you can comment on some article and that comment will be stored automatically on readboard.io, and others can also explore these comments and join the conversation basically. So it was like a single space for having conversations with readers of the internet. That was the idea.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, Readboard. So that's why read and board. Basically, it's like a Pinterest. It's like a combination of Pinterest and Discuss, if I have to put it in one line.
Okay.
And the other idea was BA apps, which is basically business analytics apps. So like before 2016, for 3 years, we worked on business analytics related projects. We created a lot of visualizations and we worked with a lot of data and all. So based on that experience, we decided to productize our services. We created like 7 to 10 cool looking visualization apps which can be plugged into any data sources, and automatically visualizations will adapt themselves to the newer data source, and you can get insights from those visualizations. And you can buy these apps off the shelf rather than giving somebody a custom development project for developing a visualization for you. You can buy these apps for yourself, plug your data source, and you are like up and running in no time.
Wow. Yeah. Well, no code is supposed to be the future anyway, right? So I guess that is going to happen sooner than later.
Absolutely.
So why did you pick or choose CricHeroes over the other two?
Sure. So first reason, I guess, because it's cricket, and I have been playing cricket for like almost all my life now, not as a professional cricketer but as an amateur grassroots cricketer. And so of course that was one thing. Second was I have always been fascinated with B2C concept. So Readboard was a B2C idea, BAF was a B2B idea. So and because it was cricket and B2C, I was inclined more towards like working on that. And actually, like after we launched CricHeroes in let's say October 2016, we saw users adopting the idea very, very fast. So basically the product started selling itself. And that was the final like trigger which basically pushed me to shove off any efforts on any other ideas I was working on.
Very interesting. So that actually makes it two of us, Abhishek. I'm a big fan of B2C as well.
Right.
Nothing gets me more excited than B2C. B2B, I kind of find it boring, to be honest. I've done a lot of B2B in my life, but if I had a choice, any day I would pick B2C. It is more brutal. It is a lot more unpredictable. You don't even know if you're in a tunnel, if there is ever going to be a light. Mm-hmm. As opposed to that B2B, you're in a corridor. The light is a little bit dim,
right.
And it's gonna be that way, right? So very interesting. And I suppose because you paired it with cricket, there is a lot more fun as well thrown in as well, right?
Right. So as the if I have to give you a little more in terms of story, so what happened was obviously like millions of cricketers like in India and world, we like to play cricket regularly over the weekends. And if you play cricket yourself, you must know that at the end of every cricket session there is always discussion, right? People like players come together and they talk about the game, they talk about the performances and all. And sometimes these discussions become very hot. Like people, even though they're your friends, but the discussions tend to get hotter in certain times. And the problem with this is that these discussions are never happen on data, because most of the times you have not scored your matches, and even if you have scored the matches, it is scored on paper-based score sheets. And getting data from those score sheets, aggregating them, and getting out a meaningful insight is very, very difficult, if not impossible. So that was the pain point which I realized with our own cricketing fraternity, and that's when I decided to start using digital solution available for scoring the matches. So I tried my hands on a couple of applications which were there already in the market, and was not happy with the UX first of all, and they were also not solving a lot of things which we wanted. So because I was from a technology background, I decided to take a plunge myself, and I did a little survey in my city and figured that this is the same problem with all the cricketers. It's not just my problem, and probably there is a business, So that's when I started thinking more about it. I created the first a business plan kind of presentation. I presented that business plan in front of to my friends and to my family, who got who were very excited to see the idea, and they always knew that I came I always come up with some new ideas, and most of the times I fail, but this time they decided to support me with seed funding, and that's how I was able to raise seed funding from my friends and family, and was able to start building the first version of the product.
I'm glad you mentioned somewhere along there you saw business, because the little leagues, as all these gully crickets are all known, the heated arguments definitely are one thing, but to be able to use data and offer defensible arguments for your performance, that was an interesting piece of insight. It must have, were there some really violent brawls that actually led to this, or was it just the fascination itself with it?
I think there was no specific incident which led to this. I just realized that if we cannot do this with any existing solution, then there must be somebody must make a solution. And since I was always looking for ideas to work upon, why not me? And one thing I was also sure that I can definitely make better solution than whatever is there in the market, because of my experience with Digicor. Because since we had developed so many products for so many startup founders. By the way, I forgot to tell you one thing. In Digicor, most of our clients, fortunately, were startup founders. So we worked with founders from Silicon Valley to Middle East to India, and we always created the entire solution from scratch for them. So most of our clients came to us with an idea and some capital, and we created the first version of the product for them. And then, if the idea succeeded, if the product succeeded, we kept working on them and, created the product at scale. So that experience was already there, and, it really boosted my confidence to make a better solution than what was available in the market for this specific requirement. And I also identified one more thing, that I just don't want to create a scoring app. See, why the name CricHeroes? Because we really believe that people like you and me who play cricket for fun and not for money, right, or for passion, right? They are the real heroes of the game. Right? Cricket has this level of admiration, or cricketers have this level of adulation in India, or they have a godlike status because of people like you and me who give everything to this game, even when there is no monetary return. So that's when I decided to recognize and showcase and give them ability to showcase their talent also along with this. So that's how the CricHeroes was. Not only I was looking at it as a scoring application, but I was also looking at it as a business, because I knew that something can be worked out if I am able to execute these two ideas perfectly.
Very nice. So somewhere along the way, we'll come to the evolution a bit. But has this become some sort of a scouting source of scouting for talent for any of the minor or the major professional cricket leagues yet?
Yes. So what we have done is, when we started, actually originally I had only thought of CricHeroes as a application which will be used by weekend cricketers, right? People who play matches on Saturday, Sunday. But soon we realized that the market of tournaments, right, slightly more organized cricket matches, is far bigger than the individual matches happening on weekends. And that's when we quickly evolved as more of a tournament registration or tournament management platform, and not just a scoring app. And that also led us to cricket associations, which are basically official bodies through which you can eventually probably, let's say, go into Indian cricket team or even your state cricket team. There is a very, very structured process to that. So what has happened is, after CricHeroes launch, we have been able to get more than 50 cricket associations as partners who use CricHeroes as their official scoring platform. So that's where the real talent, as in for professional cricket, was already there, and we are so glad that we are already covering those that talent when they are just of, let's say, 12 years old or 14 years old or 16 years old. So they have the lifetime of data digitally recorded now.
Interesting. So I suppose in several homes where there are youngsters who are hopeful of being cricketers can show live data to their father or mother who possibly doubts that they have professional talent, to say, look, this is what my record looks like for the last 5 years, and instead of pursuing a mundane college degree, you should actually let me pursue my passion. I might possibly have a shot at becoming something.
Absolutely. Actually, you wouldn't believe the kind of praises or the kind of admiration which we get from parents is completely mind-boggling, out of this world. They thank us so much because, see, before CricHeroes, they had to call up their coaches or they had to call up scorers like every 10 minutes that how is my son doing, right? Is he batting now or not? What is his score? How many wickets did he take? So it was a problem not only for parents, but it was also a problem for coaches, right? Because they cannot do both at the same time, and they are like managing 15 children and not just one. So CricHeroes also solved that particular problem in a great way. Now parents can see wherever they are. I have even had testimonials from parents sitting in China and their son playing somewhere in India, right? So this is this was a great gap which in a way unknowingly we identified, and we are solving that particular thing. And yes, you are right. If you are talented, CricHeroes definitely gives you a way to showcase your talent. That is definitely one of the major objectives of CricHeroes.
Interesting. So let's talk about scale. What sort of scale have you achieved, and share some interesting numbers about CricHeroes, please.
Sure. So we scored our first match on 17th October 2016. Since then, so it's been just over 3 years. People have scored more than 500,000 cricket matches on CricHeroes in about 34,000 cricket leagues. CricHeroes is present in more than 50 countries, and more than 4 million cricketers have registered themselves. And we have a monthly active user base of 1 million users now. Day-to-day basis, we get anywhere from 100,000 to 200,000 visitors daily on our apps and website. And our Android app has been downloaded by more than 2 million times, and iOS app is more than 200,000 times. And the one data point which I'm really proud of is for the lifetime we have a rating of 4.8 of our Android app, which is very, very rare to see at this scale. So people just love what CricHeroes is doing, and that is one thing which keeps us going.
That's fantastic. And you have and you are already on the path to monetization, or you're in monetization right now?
We have been. So we are already monetizing certain premium features. So basically it's a freemium model. So most of the features are free for users to use. For example, you can score your matches and score your tournaments for free on CricHeroes, and it will always be like that. But if you are interested in certain premium features, for example, one of the premium features is CricHeroes Pro membership, which gives you an access to Crick Insights, which is deeper dive into your own performance to understand your strengths and weaknesses as a cricketer and to become better. That is a subscription-based model. Plus, we sell premium features like a white label app or ability to promote your tournament on CricHeroes, to give more visibility to your sponsors. So there are 5 to 7 premium features which we sell to tournament organizers.
Interesting. So, are you in revenues right now? When did you get into revenues? Are you profitable?
We started making revenue almost almost 2 years back now. So we slowly started building features which we could sell to tournament organizers initially, and then we built features which we could sell to players directly. And recently we have created features which we can sell to players and organizers both. And plus, we are also targeting the businesses around cricket. So we launched something called CricHeroes Market, where if you are an individual or a business or a professional of cricket, you can sell your products or services on CricHeroes to millions of cricketers. So we started generating revenue like 2 years back, and we are not yet profitable, but we have been able to control our burn rate drastically because of that.
Interesting. So let's talk about the beginning moments a little bit. You launched it. The very first version. What was the initial version like? Was it a minimum viable product? Was it a mobile website? Was it an app? And how long did it take for you to get your first user?
Sure, it's a very interesting story. Actually, as I mentioned before, we scored our first match on October 2016. Now that was a match. In fact, there were 4 matches that day, and we were scoring all 4 matches together in parallel. Okay, and that was the first time we were doing that. So we were not even sure whether it would work actually. And we did not have any application for the users. We only had a scoring application, that too in like private beta or private alpha, whatever you want to call it. Only we had access to those applications as scorers. Now I myself went with my colleague Meek and 2 other guys which we hired at that time to score those matches. We were present in 4 grounds, and this was a tournament between all Gujarat university colleges. So it was a big tournament. There were like 50 teams which were participating in that tournament, and it is kind of an official tournament because it is like the first step towards your professional journey of cricket if you want to become a cricketer. So at that time, no app for users, and we were scoring, and we were going on ground and we were asking teams that, hey, you guys need to register to this application. Obviously, we had all the permissions before, but you guys need to register, and now your scoring will happen online. It was a very, very new thing for everybody. So they all were quite pleasantly surprised that that thing was happening. And as soon as we started scoring, they were asking that, hey, where can I see scores? And that was something which we never realized that that would happen. So then immediately we had to start sharing a link, a web on our web portal, which was not 100% ready, but at least the scores were getting updated there. So we manually started sharing the link to them on WhatsApp that, hey, this is the link for your match, and you can you can follow your match here, and then you can share this link with your friends so that we don't have to do it with everybody. So that's how the entire journey started actually.
Interesting. And but that was something that you scored. How long was it before you had random users or third party users that were possibly not part of your circle become users?
So that was also one incident which probably we'll never forget. So after we started scoring this tournament, it was as I said, Gujarat University Inter-College Tournament 2016. After probably 10-15 days, we saw one unknown match happening on our platform. Okay, now we were not sure how that happened. But we were pleasantly surprised that, hey, somebody we don't know is scoring the match. And then we called that person, and he said that, hey, you know what, I was one of the players in the tournament which you guys are scoring, right? And now I am back to my native place, and here there is one tournament happening, and I want to score that tournament on your platform. So I started scoring, and is there anything more I can do, or is there anything else you can help me with? That's when we realized that, hey, this is not just like individual matches or all. We can start giving the interface for creating a tournament also to the third party. So initially for a few months actually we did not have that interface. What we did is we asked him, okay, tell us your tournament name, give us the dates, okay, and give us the logo of your tournament, and we will create a tournament for you, and we will give you an access to score those matches under this tournament. And that's how the journey started. for tournament organizers. And we were very, very happy to see that like somebody else than us is also happy to score matches on our platform.
Interesting. Let's talk about that initial journey a little bit. How long did it take for the user base to grow? How were those initial moments? Talk about the first maybe 100 users, 500 users, 1000 users, and what were those inflection points where it was evident to you that something is happening here?
Sure. So we started in October, and obviously because it was a big tournament, there were 50 teams. We were able to get about 500 to 700 users in that first tournament only. And slowly, people started realizing that there is a platform like CricHeroes, and they can download the app and they can start scoring the matches on their own. And we also started supporting them from backend by creating tournaments for them. So I believe by December there were thousands of users who were already there, 10,000 users. And I remember this particular milestone that it took 7.5 months, so 7.5 months to achieve 100,000 users for us. So that was the first big milestone which we celebrated, of having 100,000 users.
Wow, 7.5 months for 100,000 users is real quick.
Yes, even we were surprised by the space, and this is without any marketing, by the way. Right? Obviously, we did not have any money for marketing. Fortunately, as soon as we launched the first version of the product, after a month or two, we were able to raise another round of funding from a friend and an investor. So from that perspective, we were good to go. We still had some money in the bank, but still it was not enough to market anything. And because it was an organic growth, even today, 99% or let's say 98% of our growth is organic. We have hardly spent any money on marketing so far.
Terrific. How did you said you're now present in 50 countries. How did this adoption outside of India happen?
So I think the same way, just the way, one guy took it out from Ahmedabad to, let's say, Bhavnagar. People who played cricket here in India, they talked, who scored their matches on CricHeroes. They talked about CricHeroes to their friends, or somebody went to Middle East and then spread the word there, and that's how the people in Middle East started scoring. People in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, they all started scoring on CricHeroes. Even in United States and Canada, where Indians are there, as soon as they hear that something like this is existing, they start scoring their matches on CricHeroes. So it's purely word of mouth, from one cricketer to another cricketer, from one organizer to another organizer.
So let's talk about the revenue generation period. The moment you decided to monetize, when did it occur to you that I think you are ready to monetize? Was it a internal decision where you wanted to stem the burn, or you thought that this is the opportune moment? What was that moment like?
So when we realized that this platform CricHeroes is getting popular amongst tournament organizers who are kind of B2B customers inside our B2C idea, they obviously had some budget, and there were few features which we conceptualized that for which they should be ready to pay us something. So the first feature which we conceptualized was something called super sponsor. So basically, if you are a tournament organizer and if you have sponsors of a tournament, and if you want to give more visibility to those sponsors on the tournament page, you can pay us, let's say $699 per sponsor, and we will put the logos of that sponsor on every match scorecard and on your tournament page. So that was the first premium feature which we launched. If I'm not wrong, it was September 2017 when we launched this particular feature. So since then, we have been creating, different features via which we are able to generate some revenue from the tournament organizers. The feature for players, which is Crick Insights, I think we launched probably somewhere in 2018, in March 2018 or something, where we decided that we are getting some revenue from tournament organizers, but I think the more scalable way of getting revenue is directly from players. So that's when we came up with a concept of Crick Insights, where We are giving them more insights into their own performance. We are able to help them. We are helping them identify their strengths and weaknesses. As a cricketer, we are helping them identify strengths and weaknesses of the opposition team before their match. So these are the features which we realized that okay, some players will be ready to pay for such features, and we started working on that. I think it took us about 4 or 5 months to develop that feature and launch in the market. And since then, we have been able to generate revenue from players also. And recently, in 2019, we have launched a couple of revenue streams which are highly scalable. So we launched a facility to live stream your matches. So now, not only you can live score, but you can also live stream your cricket matches using Cricheroes. So that is one cool thing which is like kind of something which a lot of cricketer has never seen, especially at the grassroots level. That you can see your match like a match on TV with scores and everything. And we launched CricHeroes Market, where businesses and professionals around cricket can sell their products and services to the millions of cricketers directly. So that's how.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So looks like you channeled all the Gujarati business acumen into evolving the right feature sets, and I mean that very respectfully, because to be able to understand what to monetize and at what points in time, especially for community or social apps like yours, is an art form in itself.
I agree. In fact, one thing which helped, we were very clear from day one that we do not want ad-based revenue. So even though we have a decent traffic, we have never run Google ads or Facebook ads on our platform, because they almost always dilute the UX, and like in most cases the revenue is not meaningful to do that actually. So that resolve helped us look for revenue at other places, and that's when the ideas like these come across when you brainstorm.
So what are some other inflection points that have happened along the way? Have there been big moments? Are there players that came from a little league, went on to become a Ranji player, or a the state level cricket KPL, like Karnataka has a Karnataka Premier League equivalent to the IPL. So have any of those big breakouts happened yet?
So what I would say is that there has been always like little breakouts happening like almost every month, but not like one big breakout which has catapulted our growth to a next level. But what has happened is throughout these 3 years is that we always get a big jump when the cricket season starts. So the first big jump was of course like November, December of 2016, and we were just starting, right? And that's when the cricket starts in India, generally like from October onwards, once the monsoon is over or is receding. Then the another same spike happened in 17, again spike happened in 18, and the recently 19. And the beauty of the the thing which I am proud of is that we have been able to maintain that level after the spike. So it's not like the spike happens and you are back to the same level which you were there before. But once the spike happens, we maintain that spike or in fact we grow from that spike towards the end of the season. And after that, after the monsoon is over, another level of next level of jump happens in terms of number of users, number of matches, and now the network effect is also kicking in. The more player you add, the more they are going to talk about, and the more they are going to share about CricHeroes and share their achievements of CricHeroes and all. And that's how more and more people start knowing about CricHeroes via word of mouth. And during the journey, actually, one very very good thing happened was that we were able to win the confidence of cricket associations. So, for example, as I mentioned, we have 50 plus cricket associations with us, and which is mainly the effort of my colleague Meet Shah, who is a professional cricketer himself. He played for Gujarat under 23 and under 15. So he joined CricHeroes very very early, almost when we started in like September, October. and he is instrumental in onboarding these associations. So what has happened is, even though these associations do not get us like, let's say, millions of users, but they give us a lot of credibility as a platform. That okay, if Cricket Association of Gujarat or if Cricket Association of Bengal is using Cricheroes to score their official tournaments, okay, this platform must have something. This platform must have some authenticity to it or some originality to it. And that's how the top-down growth happens. And the bottom-up growth happens via word of mouth through cricketers. So that is how, like slowly, gradually we have grown every month rather than, like after this one event.
Very interesting. So, hearing you for the last few minutes makes me feel like this is like a American or a Western freeway with no potholes. There don't seem to be any bumps on the road in the journey since you began in 2016. Would that be accurate, or have you had any challenges along the way?
No, we have had our set of challenges. I think one major challenge we have had is after a point, like after let's say some level of growth we achieved at the peak time on Sundays and Saturdays, our servers were breaking down, right? And this is like a kind of a mission critical application, right? I mean, after using Cricheroes for, let's say, 2, 3, 5 matches, you will stop scoring your matches on paper-based score sheets and you will only rely on Cricheroes, which in a way makes our responsibility far higher, like much higher, because we have to make sure that the application does not go down at any point, especially when people are scoring. And a lot of matches get played on Saturdays and Sundays during the morning time. So for some time in 2018, December, Jan, consistently on Sundays, we will go down for like half an hour, 1 hour. And it was really frustrating for us, and it was obviously more frustrating for our users. And like that, Cricheroes is down during these peak hours. And, especially we play, let's say, one match every Sunday, and that's when Cricheroes is down. It's not good. So, but I must give all the credit to our users. They all have been very patient with us, and they have always been supporting. We have also helped them score their matches later on once the app is up and all. But that is one time when like we are really frustrated, and we feel that we can definitely do better than this. So yes, those bumps were always there. Specifically, those bumps come when you are scaling so fast, and that is something which we are still resolving and like becoming better and better at it. I wouldn't say we are there and it will not happen again, but since last few weeks at least we are like much more confident than before now.
Interesting. How did the founding team come together? Were they all the same people that were at DigiCorp?
So from DigiCorp, I came out and started Cricheroes. Then, as I mentioned, my colleague Meet Shah, who is basically a cousin of my colleague Kuntal, who is also the co-founder of DigiCorp, he joined Cricheroes early in the days, and we both started working on Cricheroes. And the original technology team was, of course, from DigiCorp, because we already had people there. So we dedicated certain developers on building Cricheroes, developers and designers, and that's how I got my first dedicated team for Cricheroes. And slowly we shifted that entire team to Cricheroes, which is a separate entity, a separate company, even though we sit in the same premise. But now we work as a separate organization, separate teams. And recently, like about 3 months back, my colleague Kuntal, who was running DigiCorp after I left in 2016, he also joined Cricheroes full time. So that's how the founding team has been built.
So any disagreements or any founding team problems so far, or everything is hunky-dory?
So we have not had our like major disagreements, touch wood. Obviously, you have fair share of discussions and agreements and disagreements. But since I believe all of us are aligned towards the same goal, I think we have been able to avoid major disagreements so far.
Okay. So what's the dream scenario for Cricheroes? When you started, did you expect Cricheroes to be what it is today? And if it has already surpassed your wildest expectations, what does the future look like?
Okay, so when I started CricHeroes, honestly, I never knew it would reach such a scale, even though it is still very, very small. To be honest, according to our estimate, there has to be at least 6 crores to 10 crores cricketers in India alone, and overall market of amateur cricketers, ICC estimated it to be like 300 million. So even like 3 times of our expectation. So obviously the first goal is to reach each and every cricketer on this earth who is playing cricket now. He or she should be on CricHeroes, scoring their matches. That is definitely the ultimate end goal, right? And then obviously everything else revolves around these cricketers, and we will figure out a way to make money out of this audience. But our first responsibility is to these cricketers. We need to give them a platform to showcase their talent. We need to recognize their talent, and we need to make them better cricketers. That is what ultimately the CricHeroes is.
So it's one thing to put a product together, because managing success.
We are talking to like hundreds of cricketers every single day. So to build a team which can respond to the queries of our users as fast as possible, I think that specific part, had a lot of learning for us, and we're still learning. We still have not figured out the ultimate way of resolving that. But we are really proud of the support team, the customer support team which we have created, and a bare bone system which is in place. But it is very, very efficient, very, very fast. We get back to our users within 24 hours of their query, and that is one thing which we are really, really proud of in this the building of the company process.
I'm a little curious about one aspect. You mentioned early on that you're known to be a man of ideas. You're known to be creative amongst friends and family, and you personally consider yourself a creative person. And one thing with creative minds and curious minds is that they tend to get bored pretty fast. Right? And then you are chasing the next shiny object.
Right.
Did that happen after you came up with CricHeroes?
Yeah.
Did you ever get bored?
Actually, that is, you are absolutely right. And I see that as a weakness actually now. I have done that mistake in past where, I start something and I easily get bored, and then I lose my focus and, start something else, which basically results into failure of the previous attempt. It sounds very romantic on paper, like getting ideas and working on them and, to be known as a creative person. But at the end, I realized that until and unless you do not execute your ideas and take them to a certain level, actually it doesn't matter how many ideas you can come up with. The creativity has no value if it is not adding any value to the society or at least to your users. So when I started CricHeroes, I was consciously aware about this weakness of myself, and I try very, very hard not to lose my focus. Even when things are going smooth, I can, I tend to, in past, I tend to get relaxed and, try looking for new ideas and all. But this time, I'm not doing that mistake. And, until and unless we do not reach to a far, far bigger scale than this, I am not sitting idle, I'm not losing my focus, and I'm not getting bored.
I'm glad you said that, because coming up with new ideas within an idea is also a creative process, because one of the things that people don't realize, and I'm a creative, I consider myself to be a creative person as well, and what I did over a period of time was, once I started working on an idea, if a new idea occurred to me, I would just jot it down, and then I would say, I'm working on this, I'll come back to this later. And more importantly, one of the tweaks that I made was that let me just stay focused on this, and let me just stay and channel on all my creativity into this new one, because there are endless number of things. So for instance, you just began with scoring, and look where you've gotten today. Right. So that takes Herculean effort to stay away from all the distractions, and there are, if anything, the distractions that we all have are only multiplying by the day, right? Great. So let me ask you another question. In the CricHeroes journey, did you ever feel that it was all falling apart, or did you ever feel, have you ever come on the brink of a collapse other than the server outages or the technology outages that you talked about?
Apart from that, I don't think there has been any major incidents or major events where I felt that okay, this is not working. I think the only time when I really get frustrated and sometime I lose. Generally, I am a very patient person. I do not get irritated a lot, but that is definitely one time when I get irritated the most, when the servers are not working. Apart from that, I think what is happening is probably this is also an answer to one of the previous questions you asked. About the success, and how maintaining the success is very, very hard, and you were absolutely right in saying that. So let's assume that okay, CricHeroes at this stage is let's say a little bit of success, if not much. Now, because of this, what is happening as a founder is that many a times I live in fear. Many a times I live. That okay, what if Amazon goes down tomorrow, right? Where all my servers are there. What if earthquake happens in the data center where all our data is stored? These are, I mean, they may sound like a silly thoughts, but these are kind of nightmares, which you get when you become successful, or when you feel that okay, there is a little bit of success now. So definitely, handling success is much harder than handling a failure, as you rightly said. And I think it is going to get worse and worse as and when CricHeroes reach to more scale, and apparently it becomes more successful in the eyes of our users. I think there will be more pressure on us as a founding team personally to handle this success gracefully.
Well, that speaks volumes for, I guess, the maturity that has set in, and perhaps a lot of the experience that you've had in delivering multiple projects and prototypes and apps only goes to show that you have to be patient. You have to worry about so many aspects to make sure that you live up to the constant change in expectations that all stakeholders have in you, right? So let's talk about decisions. In this journey, what have been some decisions when you look back that really worked out, and what have been some decisions that absolutely did not work out at all? And in some sense, I don't want to get into the good versus bad decisions discussion, because most of good versus bad decisions is only in hindsight. If a decision works out, we say it's good. If a decision doesn't work out, we say it's bad. But usually, if you make calculated moves, if you considered most aspects, circumspect decisions tend to largely pan out. What has been your experience in terms of decisions?
Great question. So, see, I think the main challenge when you are developing a product is to handle priorities, right? There are so many things which we can do, but we cannot do everything because obviously there is a constraint of team size, there is a constraint of resources, money, etc. So the number one challenge for a product manager, which I'm handling that role in CricHeroes right now, is to prioritize the features. That process is fortunately it's quite more or less set in CricHeroes right now, because of my previous experience as product managers in various products. But still, I sometimes give in to my emotions and come up with an idea, even though, let's say, that is not a priority at that time. So there have been few instances like that where I was very, very bullish on certain idea. We worked hard, we implemented that idea, and then nobody uses it, right? So you fall flat on your face. One of the ideas which we implemented on CricHeroes, somewhere I think after 1.5 years, was challenge for a match. So I thought that why don't we give a facility to our users to find the teams around them and challenge them for a match, so that this way new teams can play against each other, and new matches can happen, etc., and it will be very, very exciting. Now we developed that feature, we launched that feature with all the fanfare and everything, and probably hardly 100 people use that feature so far. So it's very, very difficult to predict in product game that what ideas of yours will work out at a grand scale, and which ideas will not work at all. So that is where I think in terms of decisions I have had to face most number of challenges. Second aspect to this question will be, I think, decisions to hire people. That how do you identify the right person for your team? And for us, the culture has been the number one priority since the days of Digicorp. When we started back in 2004, we wanted to make a company which developers would like to work with, and we were fan of 37 Signals, and we read Getting Real and Rework, and we distributed 100 copies of Rework to our clients and to our parents and everybody, and said that okay, this is how we want to work. So that creating that kind of culture has always been a priority. So when making decisions to hire people, right, this becomes very, very challenging. That the person has to be a culture fit first, then the product fit. So I think the second challenge which I have faced is when hiring people, and I have had my fair shares of mistakes in terms of decisions in hiring people as well. That somebody you hire and you are very, very bullish on that person, that he or she will bring so many changes and so many new ideas to the team, and unfortunately it never happens, or it happens too late, and you have to let go that person. and these are the experiences you really don't want to have during your journey.
So I'm glad you brought out the culture aspect as well around decisions. It's a tough cookie. It's easier to talk, but extremely tough to do. It's one of those topics, I guess, every one of us can write blogs and books about, but when it comes to implementation, for instance, there's emerging evidence right now to say 4-day work weeks work, right? Microsoft Japan seems to have tried it. While a set of people has come out against it, saying, the Japanese are a very overworking population, so it's not surprising that it actually clicked so well in Japan. But I have my own. I will admit I have a personal bias in favor of the 4-day work week, because increasingly when you factor in the commute and all the other things that you need to do on a regular basis, if you're not rested, if you're not doing something else interesting and take a break and doing meaningful stuff, you won't bring a lot of new energy into what you're already doing, right? So, but it's easier said than done, because the whole world is working, and in India, in most cases, maybe in tier 2, tier 3 towns, you're even seeing 6-day work weeks. So when you see that situation, coming up with a process to implement the 4-day work week is far more challenging, because you're constantly doubting yourself, have I made the wrong decision, right? So let me ask you this, so on that culture count, let me take a small digression into a tweet that I read recently about a month ago. In entrepreneurial organizations and startups or companies, extraordinary growth is achieved by enabling managers people with entrepreneurial style abilities in an organization, put them on top of ideas that scale and really get out of their way, right? So it is one thing to hire people that you think are going to work, and it's a totally different thing to create the culture and the environment. Assuming they are a culture fit, you should also have an environment where they can sort of be their best, right? So what have you done within CricHeroes? Obviously, when you're seeing this sort of scale, you must be doing something right in that direction.
Right. So let me start a little bit before CricHeroes. So you mentioned about 4-day work week. When we started Digicorp, we were 6 days work week, right? And then we started giving alternate Saturdays holiday. And at one point of time, we decided that, okay, we want to give 5-day, we want to become a 5-day work week company. And it was a big decision, believe me, at that time. There were hardly any company in Ahmedabad which was doing it that way. And we were in a way kind of pioneers of this concept in the city. And at that time, really it was very, very hard for us to imagine whether we have done the right thing or not. But I'm so glad at the end of this, I am so glad that we did that, and it has worked fantastically for us throughout our journey. And we have had a very, very low attrition rate in Digicorp also, and in CricHeroes, because of these experiences and because of these failures and successes which we had, I have been able to implement a lot of things which will keep the team gelled with each other. We have only probably one person which left the company in 3 years in CricHeroes, and we have had to let go only one person which was not performing up to the mark so far, and we are a 30 people company right now. So from that perspective, we have had a pretty good. We have done pretty well, I believe, and it's only because of companies like 37 Signals and books like Peopleware, Rework. We have been able to implement such practices which keep the team gelled. And as you rightly said, I am a firm believer of hiring the right person and getting out of the way to make sure that they do their best work. And I have seen that working over the period of 15-16 years now. And few more things which we have done in CricHeroes which was not there in Digicorp is, for example, we got rid of the hourly thing, right? So Digicorp was a consulting company, so we had to keep log of everyday work, because that's how clients paid us on hourly contracts and all. That is not required in CricHeroes. Get rid of them. We do not have any leave policy. We do not have any specific vacation policy. If you need leave, take a leave, come back when you can, and keep working, do your best. So I think these are some of the policies which have definitely worked in favor of CricHeroes.
Wow, that's fantastic. So somebody takes a vacation and I'm assuming they're getting paid. That's paid leave, right?
Absolutely, yes.
That's fascinating. Well, no wonder. And you're a lean team, and I'm certain you're a thick set of team members, and which is why you're seeing what you're seeing. So fantastic. So let's get into the personal side of Abhishek. What do you as a person? What do you like? What do you do for fun? That sort of stuff.
Sure. So I think one thing which keep me personally going is weekend cricket. And that was the main reason, that was also the root reason why we started CricHeroes. So we are very, very passionate group of people who play cricket every weekend, and we have been doing this for almost like 8-10 years now. So, and it's a very, very competitive cricket, by the way. It's, even though we are playing at a very, very gully level, or you can say, but it's like there's a full ground, there's a full AstroTurf wicket. Very, very competitive cricketers who have some of them have played professionally before in the past, and almost all of us play for clubs, so we all are club cricketers. So very, very competitive, but at the same time extremely friendly. So after school, I think this is the best set of people I have had in my life, and that is one thing which keeps me going apart from work. And of course my family, like my wife, my children, they both are growing right now. I have a daughter and son. My daughter is 11, son is 9. So having them in my life is probably the only thing which I require to keep myself going.
That's wonderful. In this personal journey, running a startup means you're a leader, and leadership is usually not given, it's taken. You have to and a lot of people also don't understand what it means to be a leader. There is so much uncertainty. There is a burden of expectations, and contrary to what is popularly thought, it is actually a thankless job, because you have to assume everybody's responsibility, but nobody assumes your own, right? And there are things that you can not tell anyone, no matter what sort of an environment you have. So how has it been? How have you seen yourself grow as a leader?
So very interesting question. Actually, when we started, when I started my first company, I had 3 colleagues, right? 3 co-founders apart from myself. So that way, even though I have been at a leadership position since 2004, I have never felt lonely, because I always had my colleagues, my friends first, right? We are all friends first. So it was not a lonely job, even though it was a leadership role, and definitely we learned a lot during this journey by doing things, by reading, by following people, and by, in fact, a lot of our clients also inspired us during the journey. When I started CricHeroes, I was the only person from the 4 people, the original 4 people who started CricHeroes, and for quite some time, even though my colleague Meet Shah was there, he's a much younger person, and obviously you have not worked with him before. So for quite some time, it was a lonely job, honestly, for me, and that was something which was completely new, right? And I was never this lonely before. So not only I had to take all the decisions myself at the end of the day, but I also had to make sure that my team is in place, and everybody is happy at the work, and at the same time my users are growing and my product is performing. So many responsibility, and at the end of the day, I'm the only one who is responsible for everything. Now after my colleague Kuntal joined about 2-3 months back, I think that thing has more or less has been resolved, because I have somebody who I know, who I can trust, and somebody I know is like smarter than me in many aspects. So that that way is the loneliness is like little bit less now. Even though still at the end of the day all the responsibility is mine. I am responsible for all the successes and failures of this company. But I think having to share that with somebody is a very, very important thing for any company or any startup. So I think that way, that's why probably everybody says that it is always better to have a co-founder than not to have one.
Yeah, true that. Having just another perspective, sounding board definitely helps, especially given that you're both invested in one outcome. Right. That makes a big difference. So you mentioned books. Are you an avid reader?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. What sort of books do you read, and what has been a book that you read recently that sort of left you thinking or fascinated for quite some time?
I think in terms of like recent reading list, I think Sapiens I read from Yuval Harari. That is one book which has kept me fascinated for a long time. I'm still fascinated with it. There is another book called Factfulness, which talks about how the world has evolved and how today's world is a much better place than before, and it is backed by data. I think that is another book which has fascinated me a lot. In fact, that has changed the way I perceive the world, because like especially if you are an avid news follower and all, it's always gloomy, right? It's always dark because only negative things make the news. So, and I'm not that person, but even if you're reading just the newspaper, you feel that the world is going haywire and a lot of negative things are happening, and there is no end to this. Actually, it is not the case. And I was made to realize that by reading this book, Factfulness. Sapiens helped me understand how humans have evolved, how like Homo sapiens survived when the other species of humans did not, and we were not the only species of human. In fact, the second book, Homo Deus, talked about future more, how future is going to be challenging, and when there will be what happens when not a lot of people are working, what they are doing, and a lot of stuff. So yeah, these are some of the books which have fascinated me a lot. Generally, I read a lot of business books. I have always read business books, but recently I have also started reading a slightly different genre. Like, for example, the current book which I am reading is from a German author, it's a book on trees. So I'm fascinated with trees and jungle, specifically forests. And in this book he has shown how trees are social animals just like us. How trees communicate, basically. So
The Secret Life of Trees.
Yes, The Secret Life of Trees. Yes.
I am reading that one too.
Okay, great, super. Yeah, so absolutely fascinating, right?
Yeah, it's a fascinating read. I'm reading that, and I'm also reading another book called Banaras, the City of Light, because I have an upcoming trip to Banaras. What are some people that you idolize and possibly look up to? And if I could use the phrase, when Abhishek grows up, who does he like to be like?
So I have been, now in a slightly older generations of entrepreneurs. I'm not in my 20s anymore. So I have grown up reading a lot about Bill Gates and later on about Steve Jobs, like the two probably the biggest icons of that time, right? So these two personalities have always fascinated me, and I'm a big fan of both of them, even though most of the people are either fan of Bill Gates or they're fan of Steve Jobs. Somehow that kind of rivalry is also there in the fans, but I'm fan of both of them. I admire them very, very, very much, and I think what they have achieved in their life is something very, very rare. And if I could do even, let's say, 1% of it, I would be very, very happy. After that, I respect, because again I'm from technology background, all my inspiration are from technology world. I respect Mark Zuckerberg a lot. Yeah, much younger than me, but it's fascinating what he has built. Obviously there are people in favor of it and against it. Nowadays he has more people against him and his companies, but I think whatever he has achieved in his life is definitely is not a cup of tea for a lot of people. So yeah, definitely these are, and apart from that, of course, founders of 37 Signals, a much smaller organization compared to the previous ones which I mentioned, but still, whatever they have built is very inspiring to us. Specifically, the kind of company they have made, the kind of products they make. And then I also grown reading about Joel Spolsky, who is the founder of Fortrick Software and founder of Stack Overflow, co-founder of Stack Overflow, and co-founder of Trello. So that guy, writes. I'm a big fan of his essays and his articles on his blog Joel on Software, and a big fan of Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator. Yeah, I guess these are the personalities which have shaped me and my thinking.
Oh, that's great. The guys at 37 Signals definitely have an approach, and it's always fascinating to hear them talk, because when you're an entrepreneur, cultivating multiple points of view has to become sort of a very second nature trait, right? Because there are multiple ways to look at an angle, and that's where you get your decision making ability from. Because if one approach has already been presented, that means it doesn't make or the return on thinking on the same lines is actually negligible. And since you mentioned Mark Zuckerberg, if we read up about the decisions that he made, so for instance, when Yahoo made a bid to buy Facebook, or how did they buy Instagram, how did they make decisions to buy WhatsApp? So very fascinating, especially these are not small decisions, and it is not callous decisions to just pay $1 billion or $19 billion, no matter how much money you have, right? So those are all amazing sources of inspiration. I do wish though that a lot of the Cambridge Analytica stuff and a lot of the political leveraging of Facebook that's happening stops and maybe changes, but hey, you know what, we don't live in utopia, and there are a lot of angles that we are personally not aware of, so we'll see. So great, Abhishek, it's been terrific chatting with you. Before we wrap up, what would be your advice to, let's say, people who are starting out building newer businesses in India? Because the e-commerce, the online, all of that is jaded, and it's refreshing to hear a slightly different venture that is working at scale, and you're not even tapping into the usual IPL, fantasy cricket, that sort of stuff. You're tapping into some real world stuff, and to see that it's a revenue generating enterprise and it's growing is fascinating. So having created a venture with a difference and taken a different point of view, and been a creative person, what would be your final thoughts and inputs to potential founders and wannabe entrepreneurs listening to this podcast?
Sure. So one question, when I visit start events like startup weekends, or we have Ichai here in Ahmedabad, they do a lot of events like this. So one question which repetitively comes from a perspective from potential founders or fresh founders is that I'm thinking about this idea, and I'm still not sure whether I should do it, and there are so many challenges, etc. But I think at the end of the day, if I have to give only one advice to these founders, is that just do it, right? It's a tagline of Nike, but I think it's very true at multiple levels, right? Where sometimes we think a lot and we don't do much, which is, I don't think, a positive trait for any entrepreneur. I think the only way you will learn whether this works or doesn't work is not by thinking but by doing. So just go ahead and do whatever you want to. Life is short. You will not get a lot of chances, and you can take a lot of risk when you are young and when you do not have a lot of responsibility. So that is the best time to start a venture, and that is the best time also because you do not have a lot of experience. Many a times when you have experience, you have your own ways of thinking, and your mind is trained to think in a particular way, and that becomes a hindrance in starting specifically a new type of venture, because you're so used to certain processes and certain elements of business and all. But that's not how the new ideas come. So just do it, and do it when you want to, and do it when you have less experience. Yeah, I think probably these are the things which I would like to say.
That's some amazing advice. Do it young and do it when you're a little inexperienced, because you don't have the burden of knowledge that actually stops you from taking any action, right? Or maybe a lot of actions that you're embarking on. That's amazing advice. I've not heard that one before. So on that count, Abhishek, fantastic. Thank you for sharing your journey with us at Maharajas of Scale. I know this is just the beginning, and Maharajas of Scale, and I say this to every entrepreneur that is on our platform, and we will be back with you on another session maybe in the next couple of years, where we'll hear about you scaling new heights, and we'll do a session 2 then to cover what that vantage point looks like.
Yes, thank you so much, Krishna. It has been wonderful talking to you, and I wish a lot of success to this podcast and to your ventures. And I really hope that this podcast reaches to like many entrepreneurs who are just about to begin their entrepreneurial journey, and they find a lot of inspiration from this podcast.
We hope you enjoyed this story. If this story made a difference to you, tell us by leaving a comment on the website or our social media channels. Help us spread the love by subscribing, liking, and sharing our show. We welcome speaker suggestions and collaborations. Write to me at nida@maharajasofscale.com.